I think you just have to accept it on your end to put it through.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So for those that are maybe watching the recording later, this is Eric Carver here with my colleague Jeremy Anderson. We're presenting our SQA-iO semen analyzer to M and the team. Maybe to start with, do you mind just sharing a little bit about what caught your attention with our system and what kind of problems you're looking to solve?
So, I initially saw this in Facebook. I'm a part of that medical technologist group, and someone posted about the SQA, and I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. And then, semen analysis is very subjective, like from tech to tech. So I think this would be a good way to resolve that. And with, like it says here, results within 75 seconds, that's gonna be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I would add to that, our system also has really simple proficiency testing and quality control. And just about anybody can learn to use it in less than an hour. So, regardless of their expertise, anybody can run the test. It's also moderately complex, which is nice. You don't have to be a CLS to run it, any basic tech can run it. So, if you're okay with it, I'll dive in and go through maybe a 15-20 minute little overview, and then feel free to interrupt me during the presentation at any time if you have any questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, sounds good. So right now I've got the kind of wide angle sweep here. So we have our actual testing unit, which it consists of an automated semen analysis module that we call the SQA-iO. Then there's a visualization module where you can actually package. You also get a free round of the testing supplies and even a validation kit. So we do our best to support your entire process from validation to regulatory compliance, your SOPs. We provide editable SOPs for you, semi-annual validation recommendations, everything all in. So our job is to support the whole process, not just our machine. Onto the machine itself, on the desktop of the system, you're going to have a little icon that just says SQA-iO. So I'll just click on that to open the application. When you first sign up your account, the very first person that signs up will be the administrator. So that would perhaps be you. And then any subsequent users that you add become users, but they can't update settings and defaults and things like that. So I'm going to log in. The system always goes through a quick calibration and self-test. So, filing back to your question about the ease of use, you don't have to do any calibration. You don't have to do any special settings on a given day. You basically just log in, leave it alone for about 2 minutes, and it'll go through its self-test, and then you'll be ready for your analysis.
I have a question. So,
Sure.
is there a QC that we need to run every time we do testing?
On days of testing, we do run a recommend QC. That's the first thing we'll do right now when it finishes the calibration. So I can actually show it to you while it's going. So we have an assayed 3-level product that we call quick check beads. So this is the QC. It's got your targets, ranges, expiration date, all that is on the little label here. You don't have to assay or run any precision studies or anything. Just enter the batch number from the box. So here's your home screen. This is what's going to appear after we log in. On the home screen, we've got some key service parameters that just lets us know the system has passed its self-test and auto-calibration and that it's ready to go. On your question about QC, you can see here, it'll let us know the last time that we had run it. When you run it, it's good for 24 hours. And then after that, it'll go back to pending. So instead of a date, it would actually say pending here. You only have to do it on days of testing. So if you don't get any samples on a certain day, you could just leave the system powered off and nothing else you need to do with it. The interface is very intuitive. It lets you know that it's connected. So that just establishes that it's connected between the PC and the testing unit that's to the side of it. You have a option to contact us directly right through the application. You can click on the little phone here and it'll give you a contact us window automatically. You also have a help menu integrated in. You have user guides and technical bulletins, and all of that is also inside of the system right there. And you can see it gives us user guides and videos and all kinds of different options. So if we go over to our QC proficiency. Ooh, sorry, 1 second. My internet connection's a little slow. Are you still seeing the video, Em?
Yes, I am.
It's giving me a little pop-up that our internet's not too stable, so I might have to refresh the Zoom, hopefully not. I'm gonna let it do its little connection thing again. So our system is web-based, so you wanna make sure that you have a good solid internet connection, which we do 99.9% of the time here in the office. So back to your quick check beads while it's doing its little refresher there. Again, we do have 3 levels, a level 1, a level 2, and a negative control. We recommend running at least 2 levels per day. So I'll take these out. And it's a good time to introduce the testing capillary as well. So when we run our QC, or if we run our semen samples, we've got this little testing capillary that we're going to fill with the sample. So there's a little hole in the tip that's going to go down into our sample, and we're going to pull back on the little plunger in order to fill the testing chambers on the front of the capillary. So it takes a little practice to get used to, but by the time you're done running the validation kit, you should be good to go. So we have our QC proficiency tab here. And when I click in, you can see there's different batch numbers in here. So I'm just going to find the relevant batch that corresponds to what's printed on the side of my box. And then you can see each level just says test now. So I'll click and say test now.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying okay.
Oh, cool. All right, so it's going to go through a quick abbreviated self-test. In the meantime, I can load my capillary. So whether you're running QC or your semen samples, just give them a swirl to mix them. No need to vortex or shake them too hard. Just give them a nice little mix. The system beeps at us when it's ready to go. And then loading the capillary is as simple as putting the tip down into the sample and then pulling back until I see a little bit appear past the blue stopper. So I saw a little bit appear back here, letting me know the front chamber was full. Now all I have to do is push down on the little blue stopper and then grab my Kim wipe. So Kim wipes are very handy tools using our system. We want to use them to actually wipe off the tip. We want it dry before we put it in the system. So I'll just dry it off like so. And then this is the exciting part, how fast our instrument is. So I'm going to insert it into the SQA-iO device face down like so. So you can see it's inserted. Then I'm going to head back over to the screen and simply say test now. From here, the analysis is done 100% automatically, whether you're using QC, semen samples, etc. So you can see even as we're talking, it already finished. So it says retest now, but it also has a little icon that it passed. It gave us our value. It gave us our acceptable reference range for that sample, plus or minus values, all of that. So on a given day, only on days of use, you're going to run either 2 or 3 levels of the QC. The system will permanently store them in the archive. You can generate a report right from the screen if you want. All the reports on the system open in a PDF format, so it's a nice universal layout. You can print it, save it. It'll also be permanently stored in the archive. So if we come back over and check out the archive of the system on the left here, we'll have a permanent list of all of our patient samples, all of our QC, and all of our proficiency. So our system is on the CAP College of American Pathologists proficiency schedule. It's peer reviewed against other users who actually use SQA systems. So it's very dialed in, very easy to use. What you just saw me do with the QC, you do the same thing with the proficiency samples. So it's only taking a couple of minutes. If you wanted to export your QC results, you can. Again, it can pull it up in one big PDF format, or you can open up a Excel or a CSV file. So I could just say report down here, and it'll open a report, or just export it. So I know sometimes it's convenient at the end of the month, end of the quarter, end of the year, you can just export all of your results all at once. So you might have missed it, but it actually saved it up here in the browser, and I could open it up from there if I wanted to. So let's look at testing a semen sample, the most important part. To start that, I'm just going to tell the system test now, test patient, excuse me. And I can enter some basic patient information. So you can put in any of this that you want. None of it is mandatory. So if you're not collecting certain information, no need to enter it. In this case, I'll put in the patient's name, sample ID, birth date, days of abstinence. I was only born yesterday, according to this. So days of abstinence between 2 and 7. You can put in the provider, the doctor that ordered the test if you want. You have the date and time the sample was collected, then the date and time that you received it in the lab, and the system will record the test date and time as well. We have a sample volume. So this is one of the very few manual things that you would still have to do, is just measure the volume if you want totals for the sample. White blood cell concentration and pH. We have a little test strip that you can use. So these are FDA cleared for semen specifically. Just dip the strip in the sample, wait a minute, and it'll show you white blood cells in greater than or less than 1 million, and also pH. It's kind of like the most efficient workflow is to dip the strip first, and then you can enter all the rest of the patient information. And by the time you get to this field, it'll have turned color and you'll be ready to go. If you noticed any debris or anything in the sample, you can put in a little grading, few, moderate, many, good information for the provider. You can put in the color of the sample if you want, the viscosity, whether it was thick, clumpy, or very watery, decreased. The liquefaction time, how long it took to liquefy, you can enter that. And then you have 2 custom fields. So these can be updated to say whatever you want. Sometimes people put in partner's name or collection location or something like that. At the very bottom, you've got whoever is logged in will be the default tester name. That can also be overridden. You can type over it if you want to. And lastly, yeah, go ahead. Did you have a question?
Oh, I have a question. So if the sample is viscous, would it affect testing? Do we need to do anything about it?
No, great question. So a little viscosity is not a problem, but if it's really, really thick and clumpy, it can be hard to load the capillary. So if that's the case, we do have a very handy, easy to use liquefaction kit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so basically it comes with pre-measured vials of chymotrypsin, these little vials here. So you're just going to take one of these and sprinkle it right on top of the sample, mix it up, wait a couple of minutes, and it'll liquefy it for you. Works really well.
Okay, so the whole vial, dump it in?
Yeah, it's only 5 micrograms. It's a very
okay.
Yeah, and it dissolves into it, so it's not even a reportable value, and it's not a liquid. So
okay.
Yeah. So I'm just going to tell the system test now. And the next step is just what we did with our QC, but now for our semen sample, we're going to load it up into our capillary. So I'll take my capillary and exercise it a little bit, same as I did before. Move this over just a little. And I'll grab my semen sample. So don't worry about this semen sample being pink. It has a little bit of a buffer in it to keep it alive for the demo. So I'm just going to dip my capillary into the sample, draw back on the plunger until I see it past the blue stopper, push it down, grab my Kim wipe again, wipe off the tip, like so. Just make sure it's nice and dry. Then we're just going to insert it into our SQA-iO device. And then back over on the main screen, we just tell it test now. So from here, it's a 75-second testing cycle. Altogether, including entering the patient information, you're at 2 to 3 minutes once you get used to the system and get fast at it. Another very nice feature, once this test is complete, the system can automatically send the results to your LIS system. So in theory, you won't even have to enter any data. Who do you guys use for your LIS? Do you know offhand?
Cerner.
Perfect. So we've already got many customers using Cerner. That'll be plug and play for you.
Oh, great, great.
Yeah, that's included on our end. We don't charge any extra for the LIS integration. It's included with the purchase. So here we go. We get our results after our 75 seconds. So you're getting everything that you want and probably more. If it's too much information, you can turn certain results off if you want. But the basics are your sperm concentration, your motility broken into progressive, rapid progressive, slow progressive, the non-progressive and immodal. You get a morphology, so percent normal morphology, no need to fix a slide at all. That's part of the 75-second analysis. You get modal sperm concentration values, which just represent the motility in millions per ml instead of a percentage. Functional sperm, velocity, and then totals based on the ejaculate volume. So probably, your big ones are your concentration, motility, progressive, rapid, slow, morphology. You get all that and much more. Over on the left, you get your basic patient information that we had entered as part of the process of setting up our patient for testing. And then a really cool feature as well, you can now view the sample. So you're always welcome to take a look at the sample if you choose. There's a little button up here that says capture. So if I click that, it's actually going to open up a visual representation of our sample. And I can focus on him to find him in. So this sample's seen better days. Let me see, maybe the other side. Yep. This sample's a little aged, but you get the idea. So you've got your actual sample visual, and that part of the assessment is actually happening from the SQA view. So you're actually using the taller guy here to view the sample if you want. You can fix any standard lab slide and pop it in there. So it's not a mandatory part of the process, but we do recommend it if you have a low quality sample. It's good to double check it. If you want to do agglutination or aggregation, it's good. You can also record videos as I'm doing here. So I can actually get a video of my sample. I can take pictures of the sample. And a nice feature, when I click on capture image, it's also going to attach these images to the test report automatically. So if I close out of here and then click on view report, so I get my entire test report with all of my results, and then also I get my images on the report. So it can be handy for your providers if for any reason they want to see the sample. You've got an option to do that. If you're integrated with Cerner, you might not even use our report, but if you do choose to, you can completely modify it. We can update the header, the tables, the layout. Again, we can turn off certain parameters or just have them not transfer across to the LIS. That's another option. You could still have an archive of the results on the system, but then only transfer the ones that you want. So those are kind of the basics of the system. Again, you've got your archive. So anything that we run on the system, we've got it permanently stored. We can click into the header to sort it ascending or descending. You can select date ranges to search. On the QC, you can search by a batch number, filter it by the level, whether it passed or failed, or a date range, all that's available to you. And then same with your proficiency testing from CAP. We're also on the API schedule as well, so either one of those. Service of the system is super easy. We've got a very basic cleaning kit. It has 2 little paddles in it. I can show you. This is our SQA cleaning kit. Takes literally maybe 2 minutes, and it's only required once per week. Has 2 of these little cleaning paddles, like so, and a cleaning solution, a little dropper bottle with a cleaning solution in it. And all we need to do is basically take one of each paddle out of the bag. And we're going to put 1 drop of the cleaning solution on this kind of rough, fibrous cleaning paddle here. You don't need it soaking wet, just 1. Oops, I'm kind of out of the field here. There we go. So with this kind of fibrous paddle, I'm just going to put 1 drop on the tip, like so, and then insert it into the SQA-iO, kind of like you do with the capillary. So just run it in there 4 or 5 times face up, like so. Then turn it upside down. And again, 4 or 5 swipes. And lastly, we're going to insert, this is kind of a spongy, puffy, drying capillary, we could call it. So I'll just insert that all the way into the system and let it sit in there for about 10 seconds. And that is literally your entire cleaning procedure. So the system has an integrated checklist, so we can let the system know that we performed that day, can verify my supply inventory, clean my testing chamber, dust my testing chamber, confirm that I passed my self-test, which is on the home screen. You can put in a note about who performed the cleaning and even add a comment if you want, and then save it. And I can create a maintenance report for the day. Have the actual little maintenance report. So those are kind of the basics. You know, the vision for our SQA system is to provide an accurate and objective solution that saves time, saves money. Your cost per test on the capillary is $6. So if you account for the labor savings, the system pays it back pretty quick. And then, of course, the peace of mind, knowing that anyone in your lab can run a test and get the same result. The subjectivity is tough, as you know. If you count it, I count it, Jeremy counts it, we're all going to get a different result. Even if we're all very good at doing semen analysis, it's hard to stay standardized and objective. And then, of course, the LIS interface is a big time saver, also helps increase accuracy of your data input. So even the best of us make a mistake here and there when entering a lot of numbers. That's all eliminated with the interface as another nice add-on feature to our system. So
I have a question. So we do not clean every after sample run. It's just weekly.
Yes, you got it. There's no risk of cross-contamination. The capillary is well isolated inside the system. And remember, we are wiping it off every time. So if, remember, so we had the Kim wipe and we're actually wiping the tip dry before we insert it into the system. So it keeps it nice and clean. So I'm just kind of wiping off the extra sample on it before I put it into the analyzer. And it's not drawing it into the analyzer. Like you might be used to some of the urinalysis machines or whatnot where they actually draw the sample in. Ours is actually tested in the chamber, and then this is disposable. So there's no tubes to replace or anything like that.
Okay. And once you open those QC, how long are they good for?
90 days.
90 days.
So 3 months. They're very stable. You just got to make sure you keep the caps nice and tight in between uses. That's maybe the only issue we hear about every once in a while. If people forget to tighten the top, they can evaporate. But not a big deal. You'll get used to it.
Okay.
All the supplies are room temperature also, which is nice. You don't have to refrigerate anything. The capillaries have no expiration date at all. All of our kits have at least 6 months before you open them. And then the beads, as I said, is 90 days. We also have our test strips, which are 90 days after you open them. But everything has at least 6 months before open. Great questions. Any other questions I can assist with?
No. Now I just want to know how much it would cost to have it set up.
Yeah, for sure. So the entire package, which includes the SQA-iO, the visual system, the docking station, which isolates the system from vibration and keeps it powered up, a full round of the testing supplies, which includes 50 of the testing capillaries. So it includes the supplies you're seeing here, a box of our testing capillaries, a cleaning kit, test strips, a validation kit, which is nice. So it'll help you with accuracy, precision, and linearity right out of the gate. It comes with 20 accuracy samples, 4 precision samples, a lower limit detection, and linearity. So all that, including the workstation as well. The whole package is $9,995.
And then when we set it up, do we just do it ourselves, or and for training as well, do we just watch videos online, or how do we go about it?
Yeah, so the process starts with we will coach you through setting up the system. So when it arrives, as soon as it ships out, we send you an email. We ask you to fill out some basic information about your current procedures. And then we kind of fine tune the system to meet your requirements. When it arrives, give us a call or we'll contact you. We'll walk you through the entire setup of the system. We then have a video training series that we'll ask you to watch just kind of as a warm-up. So that's actually included in the software under the little help menu here. So there's a whole video training series built in. Once that's complete, we'll then do a Zoom training. So it's kind of like just what you and I are doing right now, except it would be a little bit longer, and we'll dive deep into all the little settings and stuff like that. So after all of that, you receive unlimited technical support from us. So if you need a refresher, you need to jump back on another Zoom training with us, we're more than happy to help. We can also screen share with you and walk you through things. So we're not just giving it to you with a video. We do ask that you watch the videos, but then we handhold you through the process, even though it's remote.
Okay. And then I have questions. So how the whole thing costs 9,995, but when we order more supplies, like over time, so do you have any idea like how much each of the supplies cost?
Yeah, sure. So we have the main thing you need is the testing capillary.
Mm-hmm.
This little guy here is $6 per test. Then you have the test strip. This is optional, but we recommend it. It's really good information for the semen analysis. So this is $1 per sample. So your fixed cost per sample is $7 for each analysis. Then we have our quality control, which we recommend. If you run 2 levels, this will last you 15 days, and this is $130. And remember, it's days of use only. So if you're not doing it on a certain day, there's no reason to run it. And if you can schedule multiple patients on the same day, your average cost per test goes down because you only have to do the QC once, even if you test 10 samples or 1 sample, it's the same. Cleaning kit. is also $130, and this will last you 6 months. So you only need to really buy 2 of these per year. Liquefaction kit is used on a case-by-case basis. So this is a couple of dollars per usage if you get a sample that's really thick and viscous and won't liquefy. But we recommend you can try incubating the sample, you can mix it, you can pipette it. So if it liquefies on its own, which it should in most cases, you don't need this. It's kind of a last resort if you choose. If you're doing any post-vasectomy screening, that only costs you the cost of a lab slide. You're actually using the visual interface for the post-vases. So you don't even have to use a capillary for PV samples. So it's even cheaper to do the PVs than the fertility samples. So most of our customers are going to ask,
Ah, no. Hello? Oh shit.
hello, M. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we got cut off.
The Zoom went down for some reason. What was the last thing you heard?
The cleaning kit is at 130.
Yep, and that's good for 6 months for the cleaning kit. And then you have the liquefaction kit. I don't know if you heard that. So you can, this is only used case by case. It's not every sample. If the sample liquefies normally, or if you're able to incubate it, mix it, use a transfer pipette to break down the viscosity, you can. This is a last resort. It adds a few dollars per sample. And then I was just saying most of our customers average somewhere between $10 to $12 when you account for all the supplies, the cleaning, the test strips, everything. But the idea is you're saving, 45 to an hour of time, and a regular lab tech can use our system versus a CLS. So the cost per hour of the person using it can be less. And of course, the simplified QC proficiency and the training, peace of mind in the lab should go up. Anyone can learn to use it in an hour. It's not a hard system to operate.
Right, right. Would you be able to provide me with an quote in the email, like
Sure.
with all the supplies and their um cost, just so I can, once I present it to our lab director and lab manager, then I
Sure.
can have everything.
Yeah, not a problem at all.
I think that covers everything. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. And I'll send you these recordings as well so you can share them around if you want with anybody who didn't get a chance to see it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Em. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.